Hey everyone, welcome back to RGB Rob, where I review CRTs of yesteryear. Today I've got something that's equal parts stunningly beautiful and dangerous at the same time, like a Redback lurking in your lounge room. This is the iconic Bang & Olufsen MX 3500. This beauty rocks that signature red back, bold, fiery and unapologetically Danish design, paired with a sleek black front that screams 80s luxury, the kind of TV that made jaws drop back in the day. Stick around as I fire it up, test the picture quality and see if this vintage Venom still packs a punch. Let's take a closer look at the back. Starting on the label, we'll move down to it. Now our label is printed with a 1989. The type is 3160, which is a very early version of this television. So much so that it's listed here as the first type of this model, the different numbers meaning different regions of the world, revisions, colours, etc. Moving over to the all-important connectors. Now you see PowerLink 1 and 2. B&O PowerLink is used to connect up B&O sound systems to things like television here and speakers and have it all interconnected and working together. B&O's motorised stand plugs into the back of the television to get its power to power its motors to rotate. As you can see in the video, it's rotating left and right here. The two all-important scarts on the angle, very stylised. They're B&O style in the S-video connection as well by itself. RF, and what's this? What's this switch doing in here? That's not part of B&O. That's not an original factory design, unless it's some prototype issue. We'll have to have a look inside about that. You can also see that rail at the bottom, which is its stand that gives it some ability to tilt. With the B&O's base revealed, you can see that rail I'm talking about. So if you're standing the TV up right now, it's just neutral flat. But if we turn the stand like so, we can actually create some tilt. So the TV's tilting upwards. You may be aware that the MX range of televisions from B&O have a contrast screen on the front. Surprisingly, this one is actually plastic and not glass. The way to remove it is to approach it from the bottom center of the piece of plastic. There's actually a little gap that you can put a tool in. I've got like a dabber, an iPhone sort of opening tool. So you just pry it out a little bit. Now it's got give in it, it's got flex in it, this plastic. It's not like glass that's very rigid. You just pry it out a bit. You basically want to get it, bend it so it just pulls out from one side. There's a groove on the side there and there's a groove on the other side that it goes into. And then it comes out like so. Now you'll see the tube, how really grey it is, how light grey it is and what a difference that contrast screen makes. This contrast screen has a bend in it, a slight bend in it. You probably could get something like this fabricated. I don't know how you'd replicate the bend though, but perhaps if you just put it in, it might bend itself and go permanent like that. But you can give it a clean, give the screen a clean, and then to put it back in, it's a little bit cumbersome as well. You've got to put it, feed it into the groove, feed it into a groove on one side, doesn't matter which side. And then you've got to basically bend the screen a bit, just sort of flex it, bend it a bit, to get clearance to go back into the groove on the other side. It's a tight fit, like it's a perfect sort of a fit, and that's it, it's back in. With the cover off the B&O, look how sleek this thing is. That is wild. You'd think there'd be a super slim tube inside it to be so narrow. What a work of art. Definitely one of B&O's priorities is form. It might be difficult to get into to repair, but it certainly does look like a beautiful thing. Just as nice with the cover off as the cover on, I say. That chassis is fully pushed in, it does slide out. Let's go to the tube now. Just watch out for that red bit, right? That's the stinger of the Redback spider, and if it gets you with that, you could be in hospital, and I don't think there's any anti-venom for that one. The tube is 51 centimeters in size and EAK from Philips, so you know it's good stuff. Good stuff. B&O, very known for their sound capability, not just for their audio gear, but for the audio in their televisions as well. There's that chassis, that universal or modularized chassis. They've gone vertical with it. They've gone on angles, try and maximize or minimize the amount of room that it takes up. Marvelous bit of engineering. That switch down here, that mystery switch that we saw before, has a couple of wires leading out of it and into a jumper setting down on the bottom, which is for the service menu activation. And I like that the wires haven't been soldered to the jumper. It's actually got little proper connectors that slide on. That's a nice, neat job. I like the way they've done that there. Please note that this modification is not factory by B&O. This is a home user that has made this modification. It doesn't come like this. So well, essentially what you can do is you need to short that jumper to get into the service menu, but it's hard to do with the cover on, so therefore the switch externalizes the ability. You can just flick it at any time when the TV's on. You don't have to take the back cover off and you're in the service menu. The chassis is slid out more so now, so we can get a little peek into it on the inside. Again, a difficult one to probably work on getting down into there, and we won't venture that far. Taking audio and video from the side of the NES. To go from RCA into SCART, we need this adapter. This will take in S-video, stereo left and right, and composite video, then turn it into SCART. It doesn't change signal type, it only changes the form factor, and make sure it's set to input so the signal from your device goes in to the television. I've got the NES hooked up now, of course. Not too worried about the service menu just for now. I want to test the gun. I know it'll work, but just because it's got the contrast screen, we want to see if that's not preventing the light phaser from working properly. Looking good, looking good. Contrast screen not causing any problems. That's a pass. The TV does have on-screen display for picture, for example, as well as for sound. Basic, but effective enough. Interestingly, when I give the service menu switch a flick here, nothing happens. However, if I go back to television, then give the switch a flick, we get the service menu appear on screen. Let's look a little bit deeper inside, go into picture setup. We've got our color drives there, geometry, several different parameters that can be adjusted. We might use those later if we need to center the picture. TV variant probably sets the country or region or something. I don't want to change that. Error message, let's see if it's got any errors. Last error, IIC address 8C, so maybe there is some issue with it. We won't clear the error, we'll just leave it as is. And that's about it, but not too bad, not cryptic, pretty straightforward. And we can quit out like that. Got the Saturn hooked up via NTSC. Didn't have to change anything to get it into NTSC. Had to adjust the tint and the color and things like that, but nevertheless, it is working. However, S-video seems to be a different story. I tell you what, I've been racking my brains on how to get S-video to work on this television. This is the Saturn now, connected via S-video. It's in black and white. Possible that it's not compatible with NTSC S-video, given that it is a Eurocentric television where PAL is the standard. However, I've tried the Super Nintendo in PAL. I've tried it in the S-video socket. I've tried it in the SCART adapter, S-video, in both SCART sockets. I've been through the menu system as much as I can to choose, set the inputs, and I cannot get S-video working properly. So could be operator error from RGB Rob. I have to give it a bit of the benefit of the doubt. With all the difficulty that I've had, I pulled out the B04 remote. It does work. It is backwards compatible with the MX 3500. Has some different buttons, has helped me. Hasn't got me the breakthrough in S-video, but it has helped me navigate the difficulty of this television. I'm in RGB now, SCART RGB with that NTSC Saturn still. Your best bet probably when you choose inputs, I'll show you that now. So you want to go into TV, into the snow, press the menu button, scroll down, and V-tape seems to be the best for compatibility. You can scroll through, just go V-tape 1 for AV1, or SCART 1 if you want to call it that. Same deal with number 2, I think, as well. If you designate, say, this one as number 1, or you can't actually designate them both as 1 or both as 2. One has to be 1 or the other, if you know what I mean. But V-tape is probably the best compatibility for RGB. Sonic 2 this time, looking good. pretty clear picture, not overdone, not rich, not over rich at all. No bleeding, nice and stable, no wobble in the picture, pretty still. So a fairly decent picture in RGB. Forget composite, totally forget S-video unless you can figure it out. The RGB is pretty good. Now I want to know if we can get into the service menu in RGB. I'll go and flick the switch. So I just flicked the switch but won't go into the service menu. So we might actually have to go out and make some adjustments. So what I might do is change some values to the extreme out in the other area and then come back and see if Sonic's picture's moved at all. What I'm learning is the service menu will adjust the properties here in RGB. Take note that there is a small blue strip at the bottom of the screen. It's only a few millimeters, maybe 2 millimeters thick. All right, so 2-3 millimeters thick. That's with vertical position set down low as possible. So you just saw Sonic with vertical centering set at 0 with that little blue strip at the bottom. I'll adjust it to the other extreme, vertical center all the way up to 63, and it's increased a bit in size. It's about a centimeter big now at the bottom. So a very incrementally small adjustment on that vertical axis. Unlike vertical position, vertical amplitude can be stretched quite a bit. I haven't even maxed it out. It's probably 2/3 of the way maxed out, and the vertical size is too much already. So there's more range of movement in vertical size than there is in vertical position. Continuing with the Saturn, I wasn't happy with the Sonic footage that I captured because it looked a bit bluey greeny in places. So just got a little bit more footage on the Saturn here now. I'm quite pleased with the picture. It's a natural, not oversaturated, no bleeding sort of picture. Natural European B&O style, courtesy of the Philips tube. Very stable image, pixels not moving about. There's no wobble in the image at all. There is a bit of blooming when there's a flash on the screen, a big flash of white or something like that, but that's pretty standard. We'll have a look at the geometry in a moment, but it's quite a nice image to look at as it is anyway. Super Nintendo now in SCART RGB, PAL system with a 60Hz switch running the NTSC ROM. It's quite a mix. You may notice, you may have already noticed in the bottom right corner, it is a little bit purple, a little bit splotchy. It needs the degaussing one ran over it. There's our grid, and it is a little misconverged, I can see in the top right corner. As I've said before, I don't like the red on the outside because it camouflages misconvergence somewhat. You can also notice that the grid is tapered somewhat as a whole. As you go upwards, you can see it squeeze in slightly. So that's another area I'd tackle in the service menu to get that upper portion squarer. Circles are reasonably circle, grey ramp, and finally colour bars. In conclusion, on the positive side, beautiful aesthetics. Cabinet looks lovely, available in different colours. TV has a big, powerful sound system. SCART RGB. It locks onto both a 50 and 60Hz refresh rate. Gun compatible. Nice, natural picture, no oversaturation of colours, steady, clean image. Non-cryptic service menu, picture adjustments available. The TV can also integrate with other B&O equipment, stands, wall mounts, sound systems, VCRs, etc. On the negative side, the service menu is only accessible from inside, although this can be remedied by externalizing it as you saw before. Setting up the inputs can be challenging. Assigning signals to the various connectors on the back is a little bit of a mystery, at least to me, RGB. Rob, you might have a better, easier time with it. Also, the contrast screen is a little divisive between users. Some people like it, some people don't like it. I hope this information helps you deciding whether you want the MX 3500. However, you may consider the MX 4000 that went into production in the year 1992 and lasted till 2003, so it's newer. It has a newer chassis inside with newer technology, an improved on-screen display menu system. The B04 remote is the standard remote that is used with the television. All these factors might play into your decision to go with the newer MX 4000 rather than the 3500. However, I'll leave that up to you. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Stay tuned for more to come, and thank you for watching.